Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We might make a start. If we could, thank you. I need a loud voice. Dinah, can you hear me back there? Is it carrying? Great, thank you. So, good evening. My name is David Jacobs. I have the great privilege of being elected Commodore of the Cruising Yacht Club Tuesday last week. It feels like it was about 5 years ago already after a first week. I'd like to welcome life members we've got here, past Commodores, members. We've got Commodore Burrell and we've got Vice Commodore Cinnamon from the Southport Yacht Club. So welcome to you again. We've got the race committee here. We've got guests from BOM and from AMSA. But most importantly, we've got you, the competitors. And so welcome. Now, I'm actually not going to tell you anything that will be interesting or anything that is meaningful. That will be done by AMSA. We've got Mark Jacobs from AMSA, no relationship to me that I'm aware of. Hugh McDowell from BOM. Mark Pavillard is our new race director, and Commodore Burrell from the Southport Yacht Club. But what I would like to do is to tell you on behalf of the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia that it's my very great pleasure to welcome you here tonight and all of those who are dialing in remotely, and to thank you for your participation in this race. As all of you know, this is the first race of our new Blue Water series for this season, and there will be 49 yachts at the starting line. And looking at the weather, although BOM will confirm it, it looks like it's going to be a glorious day for the start, a really spectacular start. In particular, I'd like to thank Noakes for their support of the race. Obviously, without a sponsor like Noakes, we couldn't do what we do. And in this case, it's great that we've got Sean Langman and his team will be on the starting line. So, with those introductory comments, may I invite Mark Jacobs from AMSA to talk to us.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I don't think I am a relation of yours. So, hi, I'm Mark. Can you hear me there?
Yep.
Yep. I'm a search and rescue officer here at AMSA, and as you can see, if the screen is working there. We're a 24/7 operation here, and I work down the maritime end of the room. Generally, during day shift, we've got 6 staff, and during night shift, we have 4, 3, and it's half and half, maritime and aviation end. So there's our contact details on the screen there, if you do require us for anything. And with each yacht race that happens, we communicate quite heavily with Tara prior to the event, and we harass her to get beacon registration details for all the participants. So if she's harassing you, that's because we're trying to do that, and I'll explain why we do that for good reason for the yacht race. This here is an illustration of our beacon system. So us here, the JRCC Australia, we cover a very large distance, 1/10 of the world, and you can see the dotted line that goes from the west over towards the Africas and out to the east towards New Zealand, Noumea, etc. So it's a large, vast area. Any beacon that becomes active, yes, you can see on that chart, there's a green or a red dot, and it'll give us the positional information, as you can see in the small box down on the left-hand side of the screen. That was a beacon we had earlier today for a fishing vessel with 7 dories off of the Great Barrier Reef area. So it gives us great information and data, depending whether it's a GPS encoded or not. And this one in particular was a GPS encoded. The reason why it's important to get your beacon registration details in with us, in with Tara, is we start a spreadsheet and we start a precautionary incident for every yacht race. If in the event that a beacon associated with the yacht race becomes active, either an inadvertent alert, which we had 25 in last year's Sydney to Hobart, inadvertent alerts, because we've done that work prior to the event, it'll come up with the beacon hex ID, which is unique. It'll come up with the vessel name and the crew person's name as well. So when we come to the race organisers in the in the event of an activation. We know what vessel we're talking about. We can pass on to the race control which vessel we're after, and they can make communication with that vessel and occupants. So that's why it's quite important to have that registration information for us, because it helps you. And on that, as I said, last year in the Sydney Hobart Yacht Race, there was 25 inadvertent alerts. So during the race, if you can continue while you're wearing your PLBs in your jackets, which is a great thing, if you can continue to make sure that you are monitoring your beacons to try and eliminate the chances of inadvertent alerts in your pouches on your PFDs. If you do need to use an EPIRB or a PLB in the event of a catastrophic situation, yeah, with an EPIRB, attach that to the person, life raft or vessel if you're not sinking, and if you're in the life raft and it's rough, keep the beacon inside if you can, but keep it vertical. Obviously, EPIRBs are designed to float in an upright position, unlike a PLB, which is not necessarily that case. Obviously, EPIRBs also have a longer battery life, designated for 48 hours, but we've had them recently going for 4 to 5 days active. PLBs, obviously quite small. Attach the PLB to your upper portion of your body as you're floating with your life jacket active or blowing up. The aerial's got to be in a vertical position to acquire the satellites and ensure that it's attached to you as well. If you do activate a beacon, it should emit an audible tone, strobe light, flashing, and an LED light as well. With the new generation of beacons, there should be a blue light that activates with a confirmation that's acquired the satellite. A lot of the new beacons as well emit a alert via AIS, which will give out a 9-digit MMSI number. The 9-digit numbers, if it's a PLB, will start with a 972, and if it is a EPIRB, it will start with a 974, and then the remainder of the 9-digit numbers. They will appear or should appear on your chart plotters if you've continued with your updates on your chart plotters. So there will be positional information appear on your chart plotter in the event that an EPIRB or PLB is active. As I said, if a beacon does become active, we get the alert in our room here, and it'll give registration details that you've provided on the AMSA website, the registration details, the type of vessel that you're with, and so forth, and any trip notes as well. Photographs can be uploaded, which is great as well. So if you can, please make sure your beacon information is up to date. We have a lot of on-sold beacons and loaned beacons to other people, and then we're, in the case of an emergency, having to make numerous phone calls to get to the bottom of what might be occurring. Besides us, we're a search and rescue authority for Australia. As I say, we cover 1/10 of the world. Other search and rescue authorities are police. So you've got the Sydney Water Police, and you've got Queensland Police along the coastline that you'll be operating in. So it may well be that you're close to the coastline. If something happens, it may well be even as simple as a AAA phone call or something similar to that. Doesn't always necessarily need to come to the National Search and Rescue Agency such as us. If there is a beacon activation, we have Challenger jets, which are based in Essendon, Perth and Cairns, which we can activate, as well as contracts with EMS helicopters dotted along the coastline. And in very large scale incidents, we will have the ability to have the Australian Defence Force, RAF and or Navy assist us on those occasions. Again, some of the vessels that we have at our disposal for response are obviously marine rescue, which do a great job throughout every state in Australia. Unpaid volunteers that do a fantastic job assisting vessels in distress every day of the week in an unpaid environment, as well as police vessels, which are dotted along the coast. The East Coast is lucky. They've got a lot of police vessels and volunteer marine rescue vessels in that environment. We have the ability to divert ships. We have messaging systems and details of ships traversing throughout the world that we can communicate with. Not necessarily all the time, but in some instances, that's the only thing that we can send to an incident, as well as Australian Border Force up through the north and the Navy. But in your example with the sailing yacht race, it'll be marine rescue response, police response, and any other vessel of opportunity that may arise along the east coast, as well as responding within your own fleet if need be. So a bit of self-help. If you do inadvertently activate your beacon, just put your hand up, please. Contact race control. Contact us. There's no problems. It's inadvertent. It's all good. I would rather know rather than get involved in trying to task aircraft and vessels if we know that it's inadvertent alert. Just the earliest you can advise us or race control, the best. If you do have a situation and you've had to activate it, stay on board the yacht, life raft until otherwise directed. Assign someone to take responsibility for the beacon so that they keep that in their control and custody. Make sure that it stays on in an emergency situation. And also, utilising multiple beacons is a good thing. If one beacon is active, there's a fair chance it could be inadvertent. But if in the case of a real distress situation, multiple beacons is a fairly reasonable giveaway that there's something serious that's happening at that location. In previous races, we've had very unfortunate situations with medicals on board. Not to harp on that, but if there's a helicopter transfer, if something does require a helicopter transfer, either a medical or a person overboard, just make sure you listen on VHF 16 for any helicopters that are coming into the area. Follow the directions from the helicopter. As I say, I'm sitting in Canberra. If we task something, I can see what the on-scene weather's like through apps and records. However, the helicopter pilot and crew are in charge of any rescue operation, and they will make a risk assessment when they get on scene. Stow all loose equipment, remove and frap, secure all your sails, and be prepared for extremely strong winds and spray from the helicopter as it comes overhead. And you may need to steer into the weather to assist the helicopter, but take all instructions from any of the helicopters if they do happen to come. As well as that, due to masts on sailing vessels, it's quite problematic winching with helicopters, so be prepared to launch a life raft if required, but take those instructions from the helicopter crew. The medical assistance side of things, if you have some medical assistance that is required on board, probably best off immediately contacting race committee for initial advice and assessment, and or 000 for medical advice, and as well us here at the JRCC. We can get doctors on the line, on the telephone, to give some medical advice as the situation is required. as well as the fact that if medical stores are required, we may be able to drop some medical stores to any vessels. So that's sort of it that I really wanted to talk about there. When we would become involved would be the cases of beacon activations, either for a serious nature or an inadvertent. So we have a great relationship with Tara and the crew that are shore-based, and they answer our calls immediately, and they come to the vessels immediately. So my main thing would be, please continue to monitor radio, your assigned phone, whether it's via a Starlink or whatever communications you have, please, because in the cases of inadvertent alerts, the quicker we can stamp them out, the best. They do happen, but the quicker we can ensure everyone's safety, then the best we can be, and you can continue on with the race. So has anyone got any questions at all?
Sorry, Mark, that one was just what's the best way to contact JRCC?
Okay. JRCC, obviously, Tara and the race control have our numbers here. Best phone numbers is on the screen displayed there, 1800 641 792. Or if it's via a satellite phone number, utilising the +61 number on the bottom of the screen. Obviously, while you're racing, you won't be sending emails and so forth. That's more the job of the race control if we're corresponding with emails. But yeah, the 1800 641 792 is the best number. That comes straight to the maritime end of the room, which is us. That's the best way to go. But as I said, race control do a fantastic job in all of these races, and if you have trouble, go straight to them, and they will contact us.
There'll also be a contact list posted online, which will have all the details on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mark. I'll pass back to David.
Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy the race.
Okay, thank you. Next, we've got Hugh McDowell from BOM. Hugh.
Good evening, everybody. Will you drive the slides? Thanks, Tara. Okay. Well, welcome to the Marine Safety and Weather brief part of the brief. If we just move on to the next slide, please. My name's Hugh McDowell from the BOM, and I'm a senior meteorologist here in the Sydney office. Now, talking about the marine safety information that you can get from ourselves, we'll move to the next slide, please. Just covering some of the forecast terminology and weather information here. Now, so first of all, wind, marine wind warnings, and wind strength and direction. So you'll see forecasts written like this: northerly 15 to 20 knots, shifting southerly in the morning. Now, the reason we're not repeating the wind speed there is that when you change the direction but don't repeat the wind speed, it's the same sort of wind speed in the morning on the new wind direction. So it's not repeated again. Other things to note for the forecast and observed wind speeds are the 10-minute average and 10 metres above the ground. Gusts can be up to 40% above the mean wind speeds. And the wind direction is in the 8 compass points, okay? So the northerly will cover anything round from north-northeast to north-northwest. We're not changing on those 16 points. We're just doing the 8-point compass on the forecast. Also to note, wind warnings are based on strong gale, storm force and hurricane force. It's typical bow thought speeds on those wind warnings when they're issued. Wind gusts, like I said, they may be higher around squalls and around thunderstorms and around showers as well. So up to 40%. If you do have thunderstorms in the area or showers or the squall coming through, then wind gusts can be significantly stronger. Just definition of a squall there on the screen as well. I'm sure you all know, but generally up to gale force gusts with a squall associated around thunderstorm showers and often troughs and things like that moving through. You can get quite squally winds. Move on to the next slide, please, Tara. Now, waves, we're talking sea and swell. So wind waves driven by the wind. Depending on the wind speed, you get that sort of choppy short periods wind wave. And then swell is generally generated by storms further away or wind fields further away. Swell moving under its own speed, and that's how we're terming the wind, sea and the swell at the Bureau. Obviously, there's a little bit of a cut-off between those two things. If we've had wind blowing, then suddenly the wind drops out, you'll start transitioning from a wind sea to a swell. But those are the general terms that we're using there. So seas 2 to 3 metres, decreasing 1 to 1.5 metres in the evening, and the kind of terminology you'll see on the forecasts. And then swell northeasterly 1 to 1.5 metres, for example. Just to be aware, sorry, Tara, you want to be prepared for the max wave as well. So max wave can be up to twice the significant wave height. And that's a max wave is something you might see up to about 3 times in a 24-hour period. So very much the maximum wave you're expecting out there in the given sea state. Sorry, next slide, please. So significant weather systems that you might see on the forecast. So we're talking thunderstorms, lows, east coast lows. These things are going to be described in the weather part of the information on the forecast. Sea fog, cold fronts, troughs, water spouts. Just note that the water spouts aren't always associated with thunderstorms. Showery weather as well, you can see water spouts there, but generally the most significant ones are associated with thunderstorms. Be pretty lucky if we see a tropical cyclone or a monsoon this far south at this time of year, but you get them on the forecast information as well. Next slide, please. So moving on to the Marine Weather Services. So what text and graphical forecasts are available from the Bureau? And we'll just go to the next slide, please. The new website, this is where we can find them now. So underneath the weather and climate section, and then you want to click on coasts and oceans. And then we get the menu on the right hand side is all the different forecast information that you can find there on the new website. And next slide, please. If you click into the coastal waters forecast, this is what it would look like. So we're talking 60 nautical miles off the coast, and these are the areas shown on this slide that you might be interested in for this race. Anything down from the Sydney enclosed waters all the way up to the Gold Coast waters there. We are issuing 4 times per day now. It was 2 times a day. It's now 4 times a day. You're at 5, 11, 5 and 11 local times. Forecast 4 days, and it's updated as required. So if there is a significant change, this will be updated that wasn't on the forecast. Warnings are updated every 6 hours when they're current, and the local waters forecast are also issued for bays, harbours and inland waters. And on to the next slide, please. This is what it will look like. So you'll have forecast information on there. And we're generally talking winds, seas, and then you've got weather on there as well. And then you've got the warning statement, the caution statement there. And that's clickable. You can click into that warning statement, and then it'll expand out to a coastal waters warning information as well. So you look at wind warnings in there, what the warning is for, or the area it's for. Just note that you can also get this caution statement when there's a hazardous surf warning in place as well. So probably less relevant for yourselves, but they'll be on there as well, the coastal waters forecasts. Next slide, please. High seas forecast, so larger area and more detailed forecast information on here, but covering the larger area really. So we've got warnings, the situations, the situation, any fronts, lows, troughs, things that you need to be aware of, and then the forecast information there as well. They cover large areas, so the southeastern area is the one we're going to be looking at, and 2 issues per day of this forecast, and forecast are 24 hours ahead. Warnings are updated every 6 hours as well in here. Next slide, please. And this is what the the wind warning will look like. So you'll have the warning type in there, whether you're gale, storm force warning, etc., hurricane warning. The warning type, the situation, the area it covers for, and the forecast information around the warning in that product there. 2 issues a day, as we said before, and it covers the same sort of areas. So next slide, please. Metai is another product you can look at. It just covers the coastal waters, so 60 nautical miles offshore for this, and any forecast parameter in there you want to look at, really. But you've got swell, you've got wind wave, you've also got the winds in there as well. Now, this isn't from any one model in particular. So if you're looking at different models on Windy or some other products, Metai will be a combination of those. It's forecaster assessed. It has it's been looked at by the national production team. It is the best possible forecast that we are producing from the multiple forecast model solutions. So Access, EC, USGFS models, it all takes them into account. It's post-processed, it's looked at by the forecasters, and then it's put into Metai. Next slide, please. So Marine Weather Services and where to find information. Marine weather on the water, so you've got Inmarsat. I'm not going to read it all out, but the high seas forecast is on there. High frequency radio, warnings are broadcast on the hour, every hour, starting at the times listed on the slide. And then forecasts are repeated every 4 hours. You've got VHF radio, and tune into the local bodies to get some forecast information from them. And also internet, we've got Marine Light. So if you want a slow bandwidth connection, then you will be able to get some of this information. Also, you go to the normal website. If you've got a decent Starlink or something, then just go on the normal website and all the information will be there as well. Okay, so weather, what's going to happen during the race? Well, starting off, we've had a cold front go through it. We're going to have a weak sort of trophy feature go through south of the region. So we're looking at a breezy, westerly and settling down weather and high pressure across the East Coast for Saturday daytime. And then things kind of settle down as that high expands over the East Coast and extends out into the Tasman through Sunday. Just want to draw your attention to this cold front just moving through the bight there. It's probably going to be a little bit further back than that actually on Sunday evening. And that might start just edging out towards the East Coast by around Tuesday time, okay? So that's just going to be an important feature later on in the forecast days. Move on to the next slide, please. So just in summary, fresh westerly winds at race start, extending out from Sydney across the coast and a little bit further north. We'll see some of that information in a minute. Quite cool and sunny weather to start the race. So yeah, nice conditions to start. High pressure builds behind this front and we see settled conditions with moderate to fresh west-southwest winds through the Hunter Macquarie coast on Sunday, but lighter winds a little bit further north. High pressure continues to extend out into the Tasman over the following couple of days. With settled weather and easing wind speeds generally, there's going to be a couple of showers as the winds start coming around to the south. It starts to drift in as well when we get into the Monday, Tuesday sort of period. Now, we'll see a moderate easing mid to long period swell throughout the race. It's going to be biggest on Saturday, 2 to 3 meters to start, and then slowly easing as the race goes on. Few shattered showers. A few scattered showers start drifting in Sunday to Tuesday, but we're not expecting any thunderstorms. Okay, right, and not really looking at any warnings either. Wind speeds should be below warning threshold. Next slide. Right, so Saturday, these are the wind speeds. You can see the key on the bottom there, but generally we're looking at 10 to 15 knots, occasionally 20 knots in places, and more so offshore, but where there's a bit of funneling from the land and things like that, like Hunter Valley, particularly a bit of funneling through there, you might see 20 knots closer to the coast. Settled, dry and sunny, and like I said, that 2 to 3 metre southerly swell. By the afternoon, west to southwest, 5 to 10 knots closer to shore. So those wind speeds are expected to ease off into the afternoon closer to shore. We're still seeing sort of 10 to 15 knots a bit further offshore, the edge of the sort of north, the 60 nautical mile boundary, really around this sort of zone. A bit more strength up towards Newcastle way, and then more strength further offshore than that. Settled and sunny weather continues. By the night time, again, a slight easing on those wind speeds, and we're starting to see the winds just starting to drift around to the southwest in places. West to southwesterlies, 10 to 15 knots, 5 knots a bit further north up the coast, and that swell is starting to ease. It's mostly swell. There'll be a little bit of westerly wind wave, particularly a bit further off the shore, but generally it's a southerly swell through there. Weather, again, settled and dry overnight on Saturday into Sunday. West to southwesterlies, 10 to 15 knots in the south, but we're starting to ease as we get further north, 5 to 10 knots further north. So not a lot of wind speed really. Significant wave height, 1 to 1.5 metres, and it's mostly swell again. Mostly sunny, maybe a few isolated showers starting to creep in as we see those winds come around to the south a little bit. So by Sunday afternoon, the winds are south to southwest and we're down to about 5 to 10 knots. Wave heights 1 to 1.5 metres, and again, it's mostly swell. A bit more clouds starting to creep in, and a few isolated showers continue. So nighttime, again, wind speeds are starting to ease as that high pressure moves out over the coast. It's getting quite light out there, particularly close to the coast. It's getting light and variable, maybe a bit of land breeze on the coast and fringe, and then southerlies elsewhere, 5 to occasionally 10 knots. The swell is starting to come down, 1 to 1.5 metres, probably about a metre or so of swell. Not much wind wave, but a little bit in there. Isolated showers and a little bit of cloud coming through as well. Just for the extended look, it's kind of similar conditions at first, but like I said, with that front on the slide I showed you initially, it looks like it's going to be starting to move across New South Wales, and sort of by the Tuesday period, we might, oh, sorry, this is Monday, but anyway, by the time we get to Tuesday, it's generally settled with easing winds, a few showers around underneath the high. I'm not expecting thunderstorms, but by the time we get to the Tuesday period, that front is starting to move out. It might start just be picking the wind speeds up a little bit. It'd be more like a northerly, north to northwesterly wind, and we might start seeing 10, 15 knots starting to pick up if you're still out there by Tuesday. Increasing showers potentially along the coast on Tuesday. Not expecting any thunderstorms. If it did happen to be out a bit longer, then things are looking like they're going to get a bit more active after this period. But for now, pretty settled conditions all the way up through to Tuesday. So talking about currents, they're quite interesting currents at the moment. We've got these 2 eddies just offshore of Sydney, and we've actually got a bit of a northerly flowing current on one of those eddies. There's not much current close to shore off Sydney and up towards the Hunter, but there is a bit more current actually going in a northerly direction, a little way offshore. Then when you get to sort of the Macquarie coast, there's quite a wide branch of the EAC there, and it's got moderate southerly flowing currents all the way through. Not much chance of avoiding much of that really. But then when you get up to Wooleye and then up towards the Byron coast and through the Gold Coast, close to shore, there's not much current, quite weak currents close to shore, a bit more strength further offshore. Now, with the sea temperatures, we're generally 20 to 21 down here, and a bit further north, 22 to 23 in the sea temperatures. Pretty mild, pretty warm for this time of year, really. Okay, and tides, well, we've got a low about 1040 here in Sydney, and you can see the rest of the tides on the slide there. I'm not going to read out all the tidal numbers, but yeah, there's the tides for various ports along the route. Fairly nice weather on the Gold Coast when you arrive, Southport, from Sunday through to Tuesday. Partly sunny, maybe a few isolated showers at times. Pretty mild through the afternoons, low 20s. So just to summarise, we've got fresh west winds to start with settled weather, nice and sunny. nice start. Then they tend more southerly and start to ease light to moderate levels as we progress over the coming days. They might just pick up a little bit northerly as we get towards the Tuesday and that front comes across. As the winds turn more southerly, they will start to pick up a few scattered showers, but not expecting any thunderstorms with them. Settled conditions generally prevail through the end of the race, and like I said, there's the chance of that north by Tuesday, with maybe a little bit more wind strength towards the end. Southerly mid and long period swell, about 3 metres to start, and that will slowly ease as the race progresses. Okay. That's what I have. If there's any questions. Thank you and good luck.
We're very lucky to have Bob support us in this fashion, and for Hugh to come and spend his time here and give us his analysis. So once again, can we thank Hugh? Peter, what would you say? Champagne sailing? Maybe a little cold, perhaps. Should be nice. Okay, next it's my great pleasure to introduce Mark Pavillard, our race director. So you'll all know that Lee Goddard was our race director for 5 years, did an outstanding job. But he felt it was time to retire, and we've now got Mark. If I was at sea and I needed someone to rescue me, Mark would be the man I would turn to. Mark it was in the Navy. He was a helicopter rescue pilot. He was involved in the 1998 rescues, has some harrowing stories to tell, which you're probably not going to tell tonight, but feel free to if you want to. He's been on the race committee for 4 years, and this will be his first race as the race director. Please welcome Mark.
Thanks for the introduction, David. Good evening, everyone. Sailors, competitors, athletes, and supporters. Thank you for joining us for this evening's race briefing for the 2026 Noakes Sydney to Gold Coast Yacht Race. I'm Mark Pavillard, as you've just been introduced, race committee chair, and I'm joined on the committee by an extremely experienced team, including David Kellett and Noel Cornish, and we've got Caleb Boothby from Southport Yacht Club on the race committee for this race. We're very closely supported by Tara and Justine, and Justine's got over 25 years of experience of these races under her belt. We also acknowledge and thank the Commodores of both the CYCA and the Southport Yacht Club, our race management team, partners including the BOM, AMSA, Marine Rescue, and Water Police across New South Wales and Queensland, and of course you, the competitors. The purpose of the briefing. Tonight's briefing is compulsory, as is the weather briefing at 0800 this Saturday, 25th of July. This brief will cover race management governance notes, some points on race start, position, reporting and skeds, safety and compliance, environmental and emergency considerations, protests, declarations and inspections, and some final notices. Our shared goal is to deliver a race that's safe, fair, and competitive. Firstly, race management and governance notes. The race committee is independent, experienced, and made up of entirely volunteers. Between us, we have significant search and rescue and offshore experience. We are risk aware, but not risk averse. We strive to operate with clarity, consistency, and discipline, and we expect the same from our competitors. The sailing instructions and notice of race are the rules. Read them, know them, and follow them, as will we. We are a learning organization continually seeking to improve safety and race outcomes. We've incorporated lessons from the 2024 Sydney to Hobart review, and we look for opportunities to improve from every race. You are the ones out there battling the seas, so we're always open to hearing from your experiences and considering your recommendations for improving these races. Secondly, the race start. We've got a good-sized fleet of 49 boats. We'll start this Saturday from 1300, starting across one clearly marked line under the direction of the principal race officer. Be safe and courteous when reporting at the start line, VHF 72. Allow room for the fleet and be careful in your maneuvering. The VIP start boat and media boats will be present near the action. Expect them to operate on a non-interference basis. No general recall will be issued. And remember, it's a long race, 384 nautical miles. By all means, look for a competitive start, but don't jeopardize safety or your whole race during the harbor start. Next point, position reporting and SCEDs. Position reports or SCEDs at 0635 and 1835 hours daily via sat phone SMS. Use the provided number and send within 1 hour of the scheduled time. You'll receive a message with fleet positions to your entry email after each SCED. Sat phones must be tested using the actual satellite system, not cellular. If you miss a SCED, make every effort to report via VHF, satellite phone, via another vessel, or to race control, and the mobile numbers will be in the sheets provided. Ensure VHF channel 16 is monitored at all times. Report wind strength exceeding 40 knots and any significant conditions experienced. Safety and compliance. Ensure your boat meets the minimum safety equipment requirements at all times. Any crew changes must be notified and acknowledged by the sailing office. If retiring, restarting, or offloading crew, you must still meet the minimum crew and qualification requirements. Keep participating in the SCEDs and notify when you're safely in port. Please be self-sufficient with regard to shore support. Retiring yachts are expected to make their own arrangements and transport. Southport Yacht Club and police emergency services are not responsible for post-retirement logistics. Your personal equipment, especially for double-handed crews. Test and service all PFDs, PLBs, and EPIRBs. Know your gear's functionality and how to recognize false activations. Report any accidental beacon activations immediately. Man overboard procedures. Broadcast early on VHF. Use recovery devices. Respond to your vessel's situation. And nearby boats, be ready to close and render assistance. Some points on environmental and emergency considerations. We've just seen the weather forecast, but remain watchful and ready to react to changes and to any other unexpected challenges. Marine life. Whales are always out there in big numbers this time of year. Please remain alert and report whale, dolphin, or sunfish incidents ASAP so we can share awareness within the fleet. Download and use the whale alert app to assist in your awareness. Medical emergencies. AMSA is medical professionals on call, as we've just heard. Be aware of crew medical conditions and response plans, and use the Emergency Plus app for exact position information. Plan your delivery home early, keeping your next of kin and support teams informed. For the finish is off Main Beach in Queensland. The finish marks will have yellow brick trackers on them, with their positions available through the yellow brick tracker link and on the race tracker. Ensure you follow all radio instructions for contact with the finish team, who are situated in DeVille Apartments. A reminder to proceed to the Gold Coast Seaway entrance and towards the Southport Yacht Club. You'll be met by an escort vessel at the western end of the marina. Please wait for this vessel before proceeding to your berth. Protests, declarations, and inspections. Declarations must be made per the sailing instructions. You must lodge your protest within the time limits and receive a receipt. A world-class national jury is on standby to support us. The CYCA Technical Committee may conduct IRC spot checks before and up to 12 hours after finish, and non-compliance may result in a protest, and sailing office may notify you of an inspection. Okay, a few final notices. A list of boats needing to complete final paperwork will be read, I think, at the end of this briefing. And if you could see the sailing officer straight after this. Navigation bags will be handed out after the weather briefing on Saturday morning. That's right, Tara? Yeah. And I'd just like to thank all owners and crews for their preparation, professionalism, and cooperation. Tara and our amazing sailing office team enjoy working through the challenges with you to ensure that you get to the start line. In closing, thank you for all your time and attention. This race is one really good race, and we're excited to see you on the start line. Race well, race fair, and most importantly, race safe. See you out there. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to take any questions with the team. Yeah. Yeah.
Our ops team will fit them. So if you're at Seaway, they'll start tomorrow. They did some of the away boats today, and anyone they missed, they'll probably do tomorrow as well.
Any others? All right. Have a great race.
Thanks, Mark. Next, we're going to hear from the Southport Yacht Club Commodore, Glenn Burrell. Glenn, I understand you've been doing a little bit of renovation up there. You might want to tell everybody about
it. Firstly, on behalf of Vice Commodore Justin Cinnamon and myself, I'd like to thank you for inviting us here today. And yes, we are currently redoing our whole marina. E-arm, which is being handed over and commissioned tomorrow, is being remained empty for all the race boats to be able to raft up together on a brand new marina, which is about 200 mil to 300 mil higher than the old one that was sunk down with all the barnacles underneath it. So jumping on and off won't be as difficult. Just want to talk about what's going to happen after you all finish the race. We're looking forward to welcoming you to our club. We've got a brand new bar there, which we commissioned a few months ago, and we've stocked up on rum jugs and rum for you guys to enjoy. The club will be open 24/7 from the time the first boat finishes till the time the last boat finishes. So we often house a few people lying in the back of the club after a Sydney Gold Coast. As soon as you do cross the finish line, it's worth being aware that there is a wave measuring buoy about 200 metres to the north of the finish line. It's not lit, and it's quite heavy if you were to bump it. We have a 100-metre exclusion zone around it in our racing. Also, this time last year was not long after Cyclone Alfred, and the last of the markers that mark Wonder Reef, which is a man-made reef 1 mile northeast of the finish, were gone. There's now 3 out of the 4 back in place, and they have rather strong yellow flashing lights. So don't confuse them with your finish marks. I think the Wonder Reef marks are a bit brighter, but again, to the northeast. This time last year, the Maritime Safety Queensland brought in that life jackets are mandatory crossing the seaway. It's now registered as a coastal bar. So if you're on deck, you must have a PFD on. I don't know of anyone being fined for not doing it, but let's not be the first for that to happen. We sent the latest soundings of the seaway to Tara, so if any of you want to get a copy of that, I'm sure that would be available. But at the moment, it's probably 6 metres minimum of depth, so most people won't struggle there. If it was last weekend, none of you would have got in. It was pretty much the seaway was closed. So with this forecast, I think we'll be fine there. It is a bit trickier on an outgoing tide where the waves stick up a bit, but just be careful there. So as mentioned, Southport Yacht Club Rib will meet you just to the northwest of the marina and guide you in to the club. Just like to mention that there are some competitors that are going to follow on in our Gold Coast City Marina Gold Coast to Mackay yacht race, which is starting on Thursday, and we'll be having the welcome party and the briefing for that on Tuesday night, which is the day after our AGM, where Justin is nominated to become the next Commodore unopposed, and I'll be stepping aside after a couple of years. Lastly, we are for the first time at Southport Yacht Club hosting the Australian Sailing Yachting Championships for Australian Yachting Championships. It's on what we call the King's Birthday long weekend, the first weekend in October. I think down here it's the Labor Day weekend. But I've got some brochures on that with a QR code. If anyone wants to click on that and enter that, we'd love to see you up there. And we wish you all a safe race and look forward to seeing you at the other end. Thank you.
Glenn, thank you for your friendship over the years of being Commodore, and Justin, we look forward to working with you. So we have two boats, Unicorn and Marguerite. If you could please see Tara to you with some remaining documents to be done. The naughty list. At the back of the room, there are some copies of divisions and marina berth allocation information if you need those. If you're online and you need them, if you could contact the sailing office. Apparently, Boss photos will be out there for the start, and you can order photos from them if you'd like a photo of your boat. And I'd like to thank everybody that is involved in the race, not only just the competitors for competing, the boat owners for all they have to do to get their boats ready for the race, but for all the volunteers without whom we couldn't run this race. You've seen some of it tonight. It's a huge operation. And finally to Tara and the sailing office for all the hard work they do. So in conclusion, I should like to wish you fair winds, but I don't think I need to do that based on the bomb forecasts the Cruising Yacht Club's organised that for you. But I would like to wish you safe sailing, have a lot of fun, and good luck. Thank you.